Test is looming, and from Saturday 9:30am, you get on Channel 7 and 7 Plus. You'll see all of that. 7 Cricket and SEN cricket expert Simon Katich. Welcome to the run home, mate. With Joel and Fletch, we appreciate your time.
Thanks very much for having me.
How's it all? One apiece. Who's in front? I know it's one apiece, but do you feel like after that last pink ball test, we've done enough to probably declare favouritism?
Oh, look, obviously in home conditions, yes. But as we've seen in this series, it all can change pretty quickly. And after the first test, there were some worrying signs for Australia, but then they bounced back beautifully in Adelaide. And now there's probably a few little concerns for India. So it can change pretty quickly. And obviously, it's winning those key moments, which Australia did so well in Adelaide, particularly bowling India out on day one, and then getting through that tough night session on day one was probably where it was won and lost compared to what happened in Perth, where they couldn't handle that late session in Perth on day one and found themselves in all sorts of trouble at 7 for 67.
Simon, are you in a hot air balloon at the moment? It seems a bit windy.
I'm down at my son's cricket training, and it's windy as all buggery.
Yes. I thought it might be.
Very, very Yothu Yindi, isn't it,
Hey, what's your rating of young McSweeney so far? How I suppose second test he was good, yeah.
Yeah, and I've been really happy with how he's gone about it. I think, I know initially when he got selected, I thought he deserved the opportunity given what he's done for South Australia in the last few years. And then what he did up in Mackay, particularly in the first game when there was a bit of a bat-off with the other contenders. I liked his back foot game. I think he looks strong off the back foot through sort of point and pulling the ball. So I think he's going to get tested more and more as he plays more test cricket on the front foot. But he looked really patient under lights. He got through a really tough period there. Had a little bit of luck being dropped early on by Rishabh Pant. But, you're going to need that batting at the top of the order when conditions are tough like they were. So, yeah, I thought his temperament was excellent and then got the job done in the second innings being not out. So, look, he just needs experience at that level. I think he'll get better and better. He's been really good in the gully, taking some excellent catches, and I obviously think that he's got some leadership qualities as well, given he captained the A-team and captained South Australia when he's there. So, yeah, look, I think he's got a bright future in front of him.
So there's no, obviously coming in first drop, you're not facing the new ball. But other than that, what have you got to prepare for when you're opening compared to being a first drop?
The biggest change is just knowing that you're going out there straight away. So on day one, if you win the toss and bat, you're straight out there and you're not sort of sitting and watching. But I think, if anything, early in his career, it's probably not a bad thing because at least he's not sitting around chewing up nervous energy. He just gets straight into the action. And, there's probably been plenty of times he's batting, when he's been at 3, he's batted in the first 10 overs. So you prepare as though you're going to face a new ball anyway, batting at 3. So I don't think too much will have changed. It's just that mindset that you got to get out there straight away. And the toughest part, as we saw in Perth, is when you bowl first and then you have to bat late in the day. And, or in the second innings, you've been out there for, a day and a half or 2 days and you're tired, and then you got to go on for a tricky little 20 minutes. That's probably the biggest challenge. But I'm sure at 25 years of age, he'll be loving the challenge of it all.
Chatting with Simon Katich. Great career yourself, Simon. But I just want to talk about, the old saying is winning wallpaper. So let's go through this. So if Australia are on top and we are at home, it is one apiece. But you've got Usman Khawaja, who's had 8, 4, 13 and a 9 not out. You've got Stephen Smith, a duck, 17 and 2, didn't bat in the second innings. What do we do with these two?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting question because they've both been, unbelievable players at the top of the order for the last, Steve Smith of the last decade, and Usman probably should have been the last decade, but he was in and out of the team, and he's made, every poster winner in the last 2 years since he got back in here in Sydney and when Travis had COVID. So, they deserve to be in that top 4. There's no doubt they're quality players, but obviously in the last 12 months, particularly in 2024, the numbers haven't been as good, and the lack of hundreds is probably the concern because that's where tests are won and lost. As we saw in Adelaide, Travis Head gets 100, Australia win. As we saw in Perth, Jasprit gets 160 in the second innings, and you win comfortably. So, your currency when you're in the top 4 in Test cricket and even top 6 is to make hundreds, and that's what you get paid to do. And that's where both those two will be, disappointed with their output, particularly this year. And that's the challenge they have at their age. As soon as you hit to the 35 plus in Test cricket, history suggests that that's when guys find it at its toughest, because the game is a tough game when you're at your peak. But when you get to 35 plus, there's not too many guys in the history of the game that've been able to dominate Test level. Usman's probably an outlier because his last couple of years have been brilliant, but he'll be 38 in December and also this month, and history suggests that it's a tough place to bat at the top of the order in Test cricket. But hopefully both of them fire up at Brisbane and keep getting Australia into good positions.
So do you think we'll see Sam Konstas at all? Just if we go 3-1 up and we clinch the series, do you feel that they might throw the kid in for the last test?
I'm not sure. I think it depends on how everyone's performing in that top order. And look, I think if they were really keen on him, he would have probably been playing already. But I think also he's only 19 years of age, and there's plenty of time for him to develop his game for New South Wales. He's had a good season so far. But look, it depends on what happens. I think if Australia happen to lose a test or two, like they did in Perth, then that might change. But look, there's no doubt he's got a bright future given what he's been doing for New South Wales so far, and he's got plenty of time on his side.
He's scoring some runs, and no one's really mentioned him. Kurtis Patterson, he's averaging 100 in the Shield. Yeah. He's only played the 2 tests where he scored 114 not out. Why is he so forgotten about?
Well, I think probably the reason being is he got dropped for New South Wales last year, so he was struggling to hold his spot in the New South Wales team. But since he's come back in this season, I think Moses Enriques might have got injured, or there's been some injuries. I know Nick Madison missed out the other day with a broken finger, I think. So, yeah, Kurtis Patterson's made every chance, or he's made the most of every chance. So, look, there's no doubt at 31 years of age, he's still got plenty of good cricket in front of him. So it's just a matter of him churning the runs out and making sure that he's next in line if an opportunity comes up, because we know that there's always injuries and sometimes with form, who knows where they'll go. But when he did play for Australia, I think he played in Canberra. He batted beautifully. So I remember he made 100 on debut for New South Wales, batting with him at the other end, and he absolutely smashed them. So there's no doubt he can play. Just needs to be in the right spot at the right time now.
Hey, Simon, what about Bumrah? Obviously, is a gun, world-class bowler. What is it? Why is he so difficult? Is it the action, or is it just because he's not particularly fast? Is it his action, or is it just where he lands the ball?
Oh, look, it's a combination of both. There's no doubt his action. His release point is in front of the crease, so that rushes the batsman. He's bowling basically short of the 22 yards because of his release point. He's also, when he's fully fit, he's over 140 Ks, maybe mid-140s. But I think the big thing is that he can get the ball to move both ways. And, when you look at his release point, it looks like he's probably going to angle the ball into the right-hander all the time. And that's generally, how he does a lot of damage, nipping the ball back into the stumps, getting bowls and LBs. But the other thing about him is that when he stands the seam up, he can actually catch the seam and get it to move away from the righty. So, and it only has to go a little bit to, catch the outside edge of the bat. So, he's got a very good slow ball, which he's developed in T20 cricket over a number of years now, and good bouncer, and very good Yorker. So he's got, all the tools to, work batsmen over, and I think he's going to go down as an all-time great. His record for India is phenomenal, given, the wickets over there generally don't assist the quicks too much. So if he's injured for this third test in Brisbane, that'll be a massive loss for India.
Yeah, they're claiming cramps. I think he'll be fine. Hey, just on our bowling attack, Simon Katich, just assume that Hazelwood's fit, raring to go, and they all are. Who misses out?
It's a 50-50 from my perspective. I think, Josh deserves to walk straight back in. He was number one, our pick of the bowlers in Perth, comfortably. But since then, I thought in Adelaide, Mitchell Starc was excellent, as we know, with a pink ball. He's brilliant. And Pat Cummins was back to his best. He was a bit underdone in Perth, but he bowled beautifully in Adelaide. So, look, Boland, his numbers in Australia are phenomenal. I think he's got 33 wickets at about 13.5. And strike rate of 32, which is just phenomenal. So he deserves to play if Hazelwood's not 100%. Look, I'd probably be erring on the side of caution and just giving Josh another week off, given it's a side, because the last thing he needs is to ping it and then be out for 6 weeks. So, if that means Boland plays, I don't think Australia are missing too much. There's no disrespect to Josh Hazelwood, because he's an absolute beauty and he bowled beautifully in Perth. But if he's got a bit of a niggle, then I reckon you'd err on the side of caution.
Hey, Simon, what about the young bloke? Batter, bowler, lefty? What's his
He's
go?
righty, unfortunately.
Yes.
But he likes bowling some leggies, and he tries to get a few runs. So he's enjoying his cricket and at that age. So that's what it's all about.
Tell him to keep to bowling leggies and not try and bowl 135 bounces like Marnus did, where it just basically ruined my life.
Yeah, that's right.
He stopped bowling his seamers.
Correct.
Because he started to get a bit of a sore back, and I said, mate, you're going to get a stretching, so just stick to the leggies. And, they're coming out all right, so we'll leave it at that.
Hey, just a question, Simon. Why is Mitch Starc so good with the pink ball? What is it? What's the explanation for that?
I think it's because he bowls a fuller length, and the pink ball generally swings a little bit more than the red ball because of the extra lacquer on it.
Right.
And I think when I saw the pitch maps in Adelaide, particularly in that first innings, there are a couple of his deliveries were at the 2 metre mark, which are really full. Most of the bowlers are sort of around the sort of 6-7 metre mark. So he is prepared to pitch it up, and it might mean he's going to get driven a bit more. But as we saw from some of those dismissals, I mean, the ball that he got rid of Ashwin with was an absolute beauty that swung late. And then, he's prepared to pitch it up and swing it. And I think the other thing that he does really well now is because right-hand batsmen are trying to make sure they don't get their front pad in the way for that in-swing. His three-quarter seam ball or wobble seam ball, whatever you want to call it, that runs across the righties now, that's posing a few problems. And as we saw, guys like KL Rahul and Virat Kohli nicked off in that first innings because they're worried about the ball swinging back. So that ball in his armoury now has made a big difference to right-handers, and I think that's why he's been really successful with it.
I don't know who his sunglass sponsor is, but I'll tell you what I'd be doing. I'd be just sneaking in some pink lenses and placebo effect, and just like he doesn't know, just another pink ball test. Go for it, Mitch. So here you go.
Oh, like
he should be lobbing.
Yeah, just wear pink lenses, and he thinks he's bowling pink ball again. Placebo.
He should be lobbing Cricket Australia for a few more pink ball tests each season.
My oath, he should.
Now, Simon, one thing about you cricketers, you're very good on numbers.
And middle names.
And middle names. Do you know your exact batting average for Test cricket?
I think it's just over 45, but I don't know.
Yes, 45.03. What about...
Come on, Simon. You all answer that way. You also, I think it's that.
Okay.
You all know to the decimal what it is.
What about ODIs?
No, I don't know to the decimal.
No.
What about ODIs?
ODIs, I think, was mid-30s.
Yes, you're right. But I need the points. It's like RBT.
That's right.
Yeah, I'd say 35, but I'm not sure.
All right, okay, here we go. Test average, bowling average.
30-something.
Yeah, 30.
And I think I took 21 wickets.
You did? You took 21.
Yeah.
And you took 6 for... Who was that against? 6 for...
Zimbabwe. But all their best players weren't playing, so I can't really count that. There was no Andy Flower or Murray Goodwin, so I had a lucky day.
That's awesome. Well, we'll let you get back to the young fella. Tell him to get behind the ball, head down.
This could be Jimmy Smith, because he can't interview a cricketer without the middle name. He said, Simon Matthew Katich sounds like a great bloke I'd want to have a beer with. No wonder he wanted to... Oh, okay. What do you say, Ron?
Yeah, that was the rumour going around. We won't go into that.
No.
After a test match, and you may have strangled someone around the Gregory Peck and threw him against the locker of the cricket ground. Anyway,
Simon Matthew Katich.
Thank you very much, Kato. That was awesome.
Pleasure, guys.
Thanks, brother.
Good on you, mate. Simon Katich. Thanks for being on the run home with Joel and Fletch. We'd love to get you back on again. And have a good call for SEN and Channel 7.